Hello everyone, this is Akhil Sangam from ENH iSecure Private Limited. Today I am going to speak about Sailpoint integration with QuickBooks using Dell Boomi as a middleware. Before proceeding with the demo, let us try to understand in brief about QuickBooks and Dell Boomi. Let us look at what is Dell Boomi. Dell Boomi is an multi-tenant cloud integration platform for connecting cloud and on-premise applications and its data. This platform enables customers to define their cloud-based integration processes called atoms and transfer data between cloud and on-premise applications. In simpler terms, it's an cloud middleware which is used to connect both on-premise and cloud applications. QuickBooks is an accounting software package which is developed by Intuit, and they are mainly geared towards small and medium-scale businesses and offer both on-premise and cloud-based versions which accept business payments and perform managing and payment of the bills along with payroll functions. In this demo, we are going to look at account provisioning of finance users from IdentityIQ to QuickBooks using Dell Boomi process. With the demo, let us look at the data available. So this is the feed file I have, and I have aggregated the data into IdentityIQ. Now let us try to look at the users from finance department. So we have 5 users from finance department. Now we will be provisioning these 5 users into QuickBooks. Let us confirm them in the IdentityIQ system. So I have taken the QuickBooks flag as an to indicate that the identity doesn't have a QuickBooks account and he is a member of finance department. Now let us look at the Boomi process that we have developed to perform the provisioning from IdentityIQ to QuickBooks. Boomi Atomsphere provides us an sandbox sort of instance for 30 days of free trial version. You can, once after logging in, you can check the multiple different modules available in the Boomi Atomsphere. So integration, Master Hub, API management are the 3 important modules that are available in Boomi Atomsphere. So we are primarily focused on using the integration module. The integration module contains 3 different components which are build, deploy and manage. Build is nothing but similar to building a workflow or a code in some Java application, and the deploy module is used to deploy the build process or a develop process to a environment such as sandbox or development or production environment. And after the development, the management module is responsible for managing the deployed process. Now we are primarily focused on creating a process so that to provision the data from IdentityIQ to QuickBooks. So Boomi provides us out of the box multiple components, of which process is one of the most frequently used component. So on click of under the create section, you can click the process to start. So similar to a workflow in IdentityIQ, the workflow steps are called shapes in Boomi process. So it is you can name it as some starts shape. It doesn't have any functionality. It simply states the start of the process. Now, based on our requirement, we can use a number of connectors that are defaultly available out of the box provided by Boomi. Now we want to get a data from IdentityIQ, but the Boomi do not have any direct connector to connect to Sailpoint. It has a generic connector called HTTP client, using which you can access the API of Sailpoint. So it is simply drag and drop mechanism, so wherein you can name it. And the connector is HTTP client, and the action is we want to fetch the data from IdentityIQ. So the operation or action that I am using is get. And in order to connect to IdentityIQ, we need to configure the connection option. So here we will be providing the URL or the endpoint URL provided by SCIM API in order to fetch the identity. And this is the authentication type. There are other options if you want to enable SSL and if you want to configure maximum timeout or scopes according to the requirement. This is a process I have already developed. So the HTTP client I have configured. This is the URL based on I'm applying a filter in order to fetch the details or the data of the identities only that belong to finance department and who doesn't have a QuickBooks account already. So it's based on the flag QuickBooks that was shown in the previous slide. So once you configure the authentication type, you can provide the username and password. So we are going with the default settings. I am not configuring SSL. So once you configure the client connection, you have to configure the client operation. So here you can see that the connector action is get, so it will be default, and the request profile type. So it is an optional parameter, that is whenever you are sending a request to IdentityIQ API, so it specifies the format of the request. So you can specify it based on your, if it is necessary, whether you are sending it in XML or JSON format. But in another important parameter is the response profile. So it states that the response that is we are getting from IdentityIQ. So you will be getting the response in JSON format. That's why we have selected JSON format. XML is another option available. Response profile is nothing but it's a configuration of indicating the Boomi process about the format or the pattern of the response that is coming from IdentityIQ. And the content type, there are multiple available options, but we are getting the response in JSON format, so we need to select it as JSON. Operation which we are performing from the request call. So as we are trying to fetch the data, we are going with the get method. Post, put and delete are the other options available in HTTP client connector. So with this we have configured the process shape in order to fetch the IdentityIQ data. So now as per our requirement, we have to fetch the data from IdentityIQ and provision it to QuickBooks. For QuickBooks, there is a direct connector available in Dell Boomi. Different types of connectors provided by Boomi AtomSphere. So Boomi AtomSphere provides two types of connectors for connecting to QuickBooks. One is QuickBooks and another is QuickBooks Online. As mentioned earlier, QuickBooks supports both on-premise and on-cloud versions of for connecting from Boomi AtomSphere. So here in our demo, we are using QuickBooks Online connector in order to connect our QuickBooks application. So simply drag and drop and configure the required connection parameters in order to connect to the QuickBooks API. So let us see the configuration for QuickBooks Connector. So the connection parameters include base URL and the company ID and the authorization scheme. That is, it uses OAuth 2.0. So before getting all these connection parameters, we need to create an application in QuickBooks Online. Once you sign up with QuickBooks, a sandbox company is provided to everyone. With the developer account, they are signed up. So after signing up, you need to create an application in QuickBooks. Under My Apps, you can click on Create an Application and create your own application. So this is our application. Under the keys on authentication, QuickBooks uses OAuth 2.0 authentication type. That is, it uses access grants for providing the access to the QuickBooks API. Under the keys and OAuth section, the redirect URIs are present. So you can configure more than one redirect URI. That is, whenever a user is successfully authenticated to QuickBooks API, he will be redirected to the URI that is configured here. So once the redirect URL is successful, you can generate the access tokens from the OAuth2 playground provided by Intuit. This is the OAuth 2.0 playground, which is used to provide us the access tokens. So once you make the authorization request with the parameters, it will provide us with the client ID and client secret, which will be used to configure in the Boomi QuickBooks Online Connector in the Boomi process. So you can select the scope. Scope is nothing but, so whether we are limited to accounting, or if you want to open ID, or if you want to access open ID, profile and email, there are multiple scopes available in QuickBooks. So as of now, we are going with accounting scope. So on successful configuration of redirection URL, you will be getting an authorization code. Using this authorization code, you will be able to access the API tokens of QuickBooks. So you can get tokens for accessing the QuickBooks API. These are the access tokens and request tokens which are used to access API calls. So we will be using this access token and the client ID and secret ID along with the company ID in order to configure QuickBooks Online Connector in Boomi process. Now let us go back to the Boomi process configuration. So this is a sandbox base URL provided to everyone who has signed up with QuickBooks Online developer account. And the client ID, company ID, as just we have seen it earlier. So real name ID is the company ID. And client ID and secret ID are also provided. So access token is like it is generated based on the redirect URLs. So after the configuration of the connection parameters, so you need to configure operation parameters for QuickBooks Connector. So the connector action is like creating, we are trying to create an account in QuickBooks. So operation connector action is create. So the object is we are trying to create is account. So there are different types of objects, employees, contractors, sales. So based on our requirement, we will be selecting the object. So when you import, it provides us the options to select the Atom. Atom is nothing but a runtime engine where our process is deployed and tested. So click off next. So the online import wizard provides us with the options whether we want to import the same object or if we want to import new object. So for understanding purpose, so we can check the different types of objects available. So we are performing account provisioning, so we are selecting the account object. So on finishing that, it will be providing you the create account request profile and the response profile. So with this, we have configured the QuickBooks Online Connector. So now we have got the data from IdentityIQ and we have the connector configured ready to provision to QuickBooks. In order to map this data, we have a separate shape called map function in Boomi process. Map function acts as a pipeline. So using the map function, we can select the response profiles of both using the choose option, and we can just map the required parameters to create an account in QuickBooks. So the functions that are available is used for customization of the data. It provides us with multiple options. So you can use each of the available options depending on our business requirement before proceeding to the QuickBooks. So it is recommended to test from the Postman or SOAP UI about this provisioning to the QuickBooks by configuring it and then proceed with the mapping of the objects. So here for testing purpose, just we are proceeding with the basic objects that are required to provision. The two important options or attributes that are required to create an account are username and the account type. QuickBooks supports different types of accounts such as accounts payable, account receivable, incomes, savings and other assets. So there are some different types of accounts that QuickBooks supports or different types of accounts that can be created in QuickBooks. So here we are proceeding with accounts payable account type and the account type. So we are mapping the account type and the username. So after that, once the account is provisioned to QuickBooks, so we will need to change the flag of QuickBooks from N to Y. So this setup is for changing the flag. Set property shape is another shape which is used to set the property dynamically. So here I am using a HTTP client but with the method post in order to write the status back to the IdentityIQ. So the operation I have selected is, as we are sending it back to the IdentityIQ, the action we have to select is send. Similar to the get, so we have to create the connection and operation responses. So this is the map, second map which I am using to pass the values from QuickBooks response to the property. Here the property which we set, that is a username, the value will be passed from QuickBooks to that. So in this map, so we are selecting the name that is a response from the QuickBooks Connector as the property value. So this is a set dynamic property is passed as a process variable in IdentityIQ, similar to the process variable in IdentityIQ. So it is passed to the next step. After the setting the set property shape, we need to pass that value as an argument to our post connector. That is, we are using put because we were just updating the identity. So post is used to create a new identity altogether. So in the operation, connector operation, we have an option called resource path. We need to select the resource path as a replacement variable so that the value that is passed from the QuickBooks response is set for the property username and is appended to the. We have configured our process. Now let us test the process. So we have test mode here, or we can deploy it to the environment and test it. So but as we are doing it for demo purpose and we are not doing it live, so we will be going with test mode. On clicking of test, so it will be presenting you the atoms in which you want to test, deploy and test. Boomi by default provides a cloud atom. So but we have our own, it is recommended to have your own local atom installed in order to deploy and test. So click on run test. Once the process is completed, so it will show the green mark around each shape. So if you want to check the output from each shape, you can click on it and observe the logs and the data that is passing from that step, connection data from each of the shape. So if there is some error, so it will be displayed in red mark. So or if the particular shape is in a process, it will be in yellow mark. So we have completed our complete process. Now let us check the accounts in QuickBooks. You can check that the accounts are created in QuickBooks. So now these accounts are used for account. They are under accounts payable section. So they will be responsible for all the accounts payments done in the QuickBooks. Similarly, we can create employees, contractors, and start their payroll processing, everything. But the only difference you need to make from the Boomi process is that, so because we are selecting the account object in order to provision to QuickBooks. So there we will be provisioning employee object or contractor object or some sales, contractor sales, some customers. Similar to accounts, so you can provision any of the objects by accessing the API of the QuickBooks. So but it is recommended to test the API from Postman before putting it into the Boomi process. So this is once you provision and you can start viewing the register, you can run a report on the identity. But basically we have run just perform an account provision, so there will be no actions as of now. So once you start the employee processing and adding the accounts or the pay accounts, once you link it to bank, so you can view the details about complete account. So that's it from this demo. Thank you for watching.